Well, punk is a broad term. You know, it's a format now on radio. It's a format in culture. But to me, the most punk thing that I see right now is Amy Winehouse, and that is because it's great talent. Once again, then that same view, lyric writing, you know, personal view, and a point of isolation, of like pouring your heart out into a song, but then a total fuck you in terms of the way she is and the way she presents herself. An original person. There's many examples of that still around. I think it just takes different forms. She's totally punk rock to me, and an incredible talent. And of course, there's a great scene coming out of England that's, you know, from the Libertines with Pete Doherty, etc. You know, there's that scene that's going on, and of course, there's the Green Days and the Dexters and stuff that really, they were the bands that broke punk. We were talking about this the other day, Dexter, and it's just like really, it was the Green Day and Offspring broke punk. You know, whereas it couldn't be done before. It never was big. Those guys made it big. They made it big, and then Blink and countless other bands after them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zippy Pinhead and Ian Tiles. Even the first gig that I think, it might even be in the movie, I think it's in the movie, Art Bergman played keyboards with us. You know, he played organ, because China Boys, we actually, nobody could play keyboards, so Art played that gig with us, and Ian Tiles actually played the first version of China Boys and Make Some Noise. Everybody was interchangeable, everybody was just trying to do whatever they could, but all those guys, they're just like incredible personalities, you know? It'd be great to get everybody in a room someday and do something.
That's interesting. And they never, I mean, nobody had any money.
I don't think any of them made any money either. You know, nobody made any money. You know, and I think I've said it before, is I think Vancouver suffered only because the city had not developed to the city that it is now. You know, back then, the whole punk thing, new wave thing came and went so quickly. At least in my opinion, went so quickly because I think record companies just generally, in the music business, so to speak, they didn't get it. You know, they didn't get it where it came from. They didn't think it was like early rock and roll, like, you know, like Elvis and stuff. They didn't kind of relate that this was a new form of that basic rock and roll. And I think one of the things, they didn't like the people, because the people were, you know, different. They were counterculture, and they didn't relate to it. The early 80s and the 80s was all about, you know, money and blow and women and whatever, you know, whereas, you know, punk, new wave, and what we were in was anti that. You know, of course there was lots of alcohol and drugs and everything, but it was still the whole thing. It wasn't great for a guy in a record company from New York to come down to the Smiling Buddha, you know. They just didn't fit. And they kind of went, I don't think I like this. I think I'm gonna go to metal. Guys with long hair. There's more chicks with them and stuff, you know. To me, I mean, that's generalizing a lot, but to me that's what it was like. So it wasn't developed, you know, and the music industry quickly grabbed a few that were great, like the Police and like Blondie and the Clash. They took the best and they ran with those, and then just wanted to move the industry into rock and other things so they could sell stadiums out. Yeah, there's just so many personalities, but that's what you get. Interesting people make interesting music, to me. You know, great personalities and characters have something to give, and I mean, people like that gravitate towards this, like, you know, like John Armstrong or Buck Cherry. Those people gravitate towards art and things that are different and counterculture. And they all ask the questions, right? They go like, why? Why do I have to do that? I don't want to do that. I want to do this. This is more interesting. I don't want to be like everybody else. I mean, there's a certain amount of that comes out of punk, and I was definitely involved in that. I don't want to be this. I want to be different from that. That represents something else. I like this over here. This is who I I want to, not be like, but this is where I want to belong. I belong here. My taste in music, the way I want to live my life, everything.